Hey everybody, David Swor here with DJ Cox for another episode of Frenemies. And in case you're wondering, you're not seeing double. This is Mike Jenkins, the good twin. Mike, why don't you say hello to our viewers there, all 8 of them.
Hey guys, how are you? How are you tonight? Yeah, I was the one that actually made the team at Temple. I didn't tell you all that. Jamie's first year, when we first showed up there, he actually didn't make the baseball team. He
left that part out, I think.
No,
he didn't. It came up. It came up.
Huh?
It came up. Yeah, come to think of it, it did come up.
Like they just told him he could basically. They let him practice because they wanted him to, make sure he got the equipment there is what it was. That he was allowed to practice. I mean, that's seriously what the deal was. He just had to make sure he got the stuff there so he could show up as long as he got the stuff there. Yeah.
Hey, you guys can already tell this is going to be a great episode. I don't know how you guys got the good and evil moniker. I always thought that should have been switched. Do you remember how that came about?
I actually don't. I think it was Steve Shelton that started that.
Yeah, imagine that.
But I don't remember what or why it was. And I think it had something to do with like Superman's evil twin, and there was 2 of them. But I don't remember anymore how it even started. So yeah.
I hear you.
Speaking of that, man, I remember Steven Shelton when we all first got there. Steven would be like, "My name is Michael Jenkins. I like pizza and soda."
I had a hard accent. I mean, a hard accent when I first got to Temple. So
he would let you hear. He'd let me hear about it too, but he would give you guys so much crap. It was pretty funny.
So DJ, before we get too deep into this episode, why don't you talk about our sponsors a little bit?
All right, tonight's episode, as always, is brought to you by the White Sauce, Coach Hall's White Sauce. This stuff is awesome. Go to Facebook, find you some, or go to the website as well. Michael, throw your 2 cents in about this, buddy.
I remember it being very good. The end.
Absolutely. So everybody that's been on this show has said something good about this stuff, so make sure you get some. Thanksgiving is obviously coming up. You put this stuff on your turkey, no doubt.
Oh, yeah.
So throw that on there, buy it as gifts, have it for your family for Thanksgiving. You will not regret it, I promise.
Yep, thewhitesauce.org, or you can find it on Facebook. Just search for it, The White Sauce. So DJ, we're going to start off the episode kind of on a somber note. We had a couple former major leaguers pass away. Why don't you tell us about Jim Hicks?
Jim Hicks played outfield and first base for the White Sox in 1964, 65, and 66. After 2 seasons back in the minors, he came back with St. Louis in 69, but was traded to the California Angels, where he ended his career in 69 and 70. Jim was born in East Chicago, Indiana, which is actually a thing. There's an East Chicago, Indiana, right across the border there, over by Gary. Born and raised there, was a very good high school prospect for basketball and baseball. But he was discovered by the White Sox, and that makes sense since it's so close to their field. Jim's numbers weren't that impressive in his major league career. He hit 163, so that's obviously not that high. He had 5 career homers. But, guys, guess what? That's 5 more career home runs in the MLB than all 3 of us combined. So tip your cap to him. The guy made it, I guess, is what you can say. So pretty good on him. 23 career hits, which obviously is, let's not sugarcoat this. It wasn't a spectacular career by all means, but he did last for 5 seasons somehow. So props to him for even making it to the show. Jim played his college ball at University of Illinois. And in 1968, in the minors, Jim was the MVP of AAA Pacific Coast League, where he batted .366 with 149 hits, 23 bombs, and 85 ribbies. He came back to the majors and unfortunately did not hit in the majors. He was one of those guys, David, where he was a very good minor league player, but when he took the next step, he struggled. And that happens to a lot of ball players. And that was Jim Hicks in a nutshell. That was his career. But he converted. He had a lot of success from his minor league career, major league career, and Japan combined. He was a power hitter, hit about 240 home runs. So he could hit the ball. He didn't hit very many in the majors, but he definitely could hit bombs, and it just didn't really work out for his major league career. So rest in peace, Jim Hicks, 5-year major league career. So
nice. I'm going to talk a little bit about Julio Becquer. He was a Cuban, born in Havana, played first base for the Senators, Angels, and the Twins. Cool story, he was actually taken by the Angels in the expansion draft in 1960. Career 244 hitter, hit 12 homers and 114 RBIs, mostly kind of an up and down AAA player. He played one season as a starter, which was for Washington in 1960, and kind of a cool story. So once he got with the Angels, he really played one season, and from then on was really a AAA player. In 1963, he was traded to the Twins. The owner of the Twins, Calvin Griffith, brought him up for one game and for one reason, so he could get a major league pension for the rest of his life. So pretty cool story. One at bat, which ended up being his last at bat. Passed away after living in Minnesota on November the 1st. So again, not a real storied career, but one that you could envy. He ended up playing, I'm thinking, parts of like 8 or 9 seasons. And so a really good career. And so rest in peace, Julio Becquer. DJ, a couple things this week. The major thing being Alex Cora is back to the Red Sox. What do you think about that?
Oh, man. So here we go again with this whole A.J. Hinch, Alex Cora thing. Suspended by the league for a year, each of them. And they're both back in the majors just like that, man. I don't know, man. In this country, you cheat and you win and you get brought back. That's just what's been happening. On a kind of somber note, that's just our country right now. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't get it. What he did was obviously absolutely wrong, and I believe that there should be other people that were looked at. I believe Sam Fuld got looked at. Sam Fuld had a good career of the Cubs and the Rays. Seems to be an up-and-coming manager in this league, and hopefully someday soon he gets his chance because he was a finalist for this job too as well. But they went back to Cora. I can't blame them. They won the World Series in 2018, not very long ago, obviously, with him as the leader, and had a terrible season this year with Ron Renicky. So he's got his work cut out for him a little bit. But I was looking at them a little bit today, David. The Red Sox actually they're not too far away. So we talk about their offense a lot and how their offense is very strong. And their pitching was just terrible this year. 16 different starters in a 60-game season. That was the problem for the Red Sox this year.
Oh, yeah.
They could not keep it together. They did not have a very good starter. I believe Nathan Eovaldi was their best starter this year. He's probably their 3 or 4 moving forward. To be honest with you, David, they need about 2 or 3 more starting pitchers and legit ones. And they can really be contenders pretty much automatically if they take care of that problem because they got Chris Sale coming back. So Eduardo Rodriguez is also coming back, and Rodriguez had a 19-6 season in 19, so they missed him tremendously as well this year. So you get those 2 guys back in the top of your rotation. If Eovaldi can be like he was this year and be a 3 or 4 for you, you go out and get 2 more studs. This team can compete with that offense, man. They really can. So he walked into a good situation. It is kind of on the GM now to get them the tools as far as the players go. 24 and 36 this year under Renicky, so not a very good year at all. I just think, I think it's one of those things where, they were kind of – I think they had this plan all along, to be honest with you, where Renicky was going to just kind of Band-Aid it for him to come right back, man. I really believe that with everything I got. And it ended up coming back to fruition, and off he's going to go again. And I don't doubt he's a good manager, but I do think he needs to pay for his sins, so to speak, and he really didn't. He's got kind of a slap on the hand, and we'll see. We'll see with get some pitching. We're going to be contenders again.
So I want to bring Mike in right here. Mike, as a guy who may have been willing to stretch the rules, what do you think about this situation? What do you think about this situation? Me and DJ have debated this back and forth. We've kind of debated it with other people. So Alex Cora, A.J. Hinch, both were stealing signs from a center field camera, which is written in the rules, totally illegal. What do you think the punishment should have been? Do you think that it's okay since there are ways that you can give signs that can't be stolen? What do you think about that whole situation?
Well, Do I think it's ever okay to cheat? No. Do I think that other teams though should have been a little smarter to it? Probably. Because there's a reason you give multiple signs and somebody's on second base because they're going to steal your signs. So if everybody does it, it's not like, they just got caught. And that's the only reason we know about it is because they got caught. That's the difference.
There's been several other teams accused in this, by the way, including mine. So,
it's one of those things where it's not a problem until it's a problem, and then all of a sudden everybody's, blameless and, I can't believe they were doing that. What they can't believe is I can't believe I didn't think of that. That's what they want to say, but they can't, but everybody does it. If not, you just give one sign, someone to stand on second base. The honor system in baseball is not really there, So
let me ask you this. Having said that, because, me and DJ are kind of on the same page, but a little at odds maybe. Let's go back to the steroid era a little bit. Me and DJ love to argue about this. So you had all these guys. It's a similar situation. Everybody knew it, what was going on. Honestly, it saved baseball. So with all that being said, do steroid guys belong in the Hall of Fame or not?
I think they do, because I don't, as someone who enjoys going to I don't never take steroids, but as someone who enjoys going lifting weights, I don't care how big and strong you are. You still got to hit a round ball with a round bat, and the guy on the other end's trying to not let that happen. And yeah, I think they do. I just, I think there should be exhibit.
I don't.
This was his original hat size, and this is his hat size when he ended his career.
Yeah, don't run. Seriously.
Because some of them guys got some bucket heads by the end.
This is my whole argument. Don't run from it. It happened, and we have no way of knowing who did and who didn't, other than the few guys that got caught. And so me and DJ went round and round about that.
Guys still get caught doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still going on.
Yeah.
And so there's guys in the Hall of Fame who for sure use steroids. Yeah. For sure.
Well, there's stuff that, that they, you don't know who's out in front of like the testing and what. There's so many substances. There's always something new that comes out that's not on some list. They don't have a test for. I understand some of that stuff I've actually taken before, and it makes a big difference. But it's not a steroid, but it makes a big difference. You can't walk into a store and buy it, but it works. Probably because you can't walk into a store and buy it. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it because at the end of the day, you still have to execute. There's a lot of guys that are really huge and strong that can't hit a baseball for nothing.
Right.
So it doesn't mean just because you take steroids that all of a sudden now you can, now your eye-hand coordination is what it's supposed to be, and you can see the laces on the ball, and they don't work that way.
Right. I give you that. I agree with that. Okay. However, when you are on steroids, there's no doubt whatsoever that you hit the ball farther and you hit the ball harder, and a lot of times that obviously boosts your stats a whole lot. So I get it. I understand you totally have to be able to hit a baseball, which not a lot of people can do very successfully, especially at the major league level. But man, I promise you the benefit from those roids and hitting the ball farther, harder, it's significant.
I can remember when I was a kid, went and watched Baltimore play, and they were playing Oakland. And I was right along the backstop net. It was before the game, and Jose Canseco was standing there taking soft toss. And I can remember as a kid, I was probably, 11, 12 years old. His swing, it literally sounded like he was ripping the air open with his swing. It was like you could almost hear like the creaking of his muscles as he ripped the bat through. It was crazy, the velocity that guy swung that bat with. Yeah, and he was big. I remember looking at his forearm. He was big.
Oh, he was a mountain. Yeah, he was a stud. Yeah, like I said, I just think you can't run from it. You just have to admit that it happened, put an asterisk on there or whatever, but it doesn't change the fact that these guys were great ball players.
And I think if they admitted it, like it's one of the things like Palmeiro. I mean, what do you remember about Palmeiro? Had a great career, but you remember him sitting in front of Congress with his finger pointing at him. That's what you remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. All right, we'll get off of that one. DJ knows I'm right. He just won't admit it. DJ, let's talk Gold Gloves. So actually last week on the night that we did our episode, which was Tuesday night, the Gold Gloves came out. And I looked down this list, DJ. There's a lot of unfamiliar names on here, so it's kind of interesting.
It really is. I believe there is 11 first-timers, man, which is pretty significant as far as that goes. And this year, David, I don't know if you heard or not, Mike, if you guys heard this, where they went by the actual stats this year, defensive stats, instead of giving it to the coaches to pick the Gold Gloves this year, which is interesting. But before we even get into this, I just want to know that if either of you know which team won the Gold Glove Award. They did a team thing this year. So any idea which National League team won the Gold Glove this year as a whole?
Well, I'm sure you're going to say the Cubs. And let me just say, DJ, that I think the shortstop deal is rigged. Let's just go ahead and jump right into this. Oh, yeah, because the stats do not say Javi Baez was the best shortstop in the league. So let me hear your argument.
Here we go. Okay, before we get into this, I want to know who you think is ahead of him then.
Man, you could make a case for, honestly, a couple different guys. Dansby Swanson. Javi Baez trailed him in outs above average and defensive run saves, both categories. Fernando Tatis, you can make a case for him as well. Some of his stats were better. What I read about this, because honestly I didn't follow either of those three guys that hard, that Javi Baez was a flashier player, but he wasn't as consistent at making routine plays as the other two. And so anyway, I just wanted to hear your perspective on this, your homer perspective on why Javi Baez should be a Gold Glover over the two guys with superior stats.
Javi Baez has outweighed both of those guys for many years here, and this is just so happened to be his first time winning one. If you watch this guy on a daily basis, you will see the amount of runs saved, the amount of arm strength that he has that other people cannot make throws from short, across the body, backhands. Those guys are going to be safe every time. He makes the outs. He makes the plays. He did not have hardly any errors. I can't really even think of many at all this year. He is flashy, like you said. He's the best tagger that I've ever seen in my entire life. I will tell you that right now. I don't think anybody has ever been able to tag people like he does. It's an art form. This guy is finesse. His batting this year was absolutely terrible. I will give you that. But his glove was there, man, and he totally deserved this. His first one, he's one of the first-time 11 guys there. I don't think there's really an argument for it. Those other two guys you mentioned, Tatis and Swanson, very good defensively, but not even close to Javi Baez. Can't carry his jockstrap.
Oh, I'm sure. So I bet I can guess who the AL team was. It had to have been the Mariners, right?
It was not. It was
wow.
Not. It was the Indians, who had 2 Gold Glovers and a few guys nominated as well. The Indians got the AL votes for that, and it makes sense too, man. Those guys flashed the gloves. They had a really good year defensively. Roberto Perez was awesome behind the plate. That guy can hit a little bit too, so the combination of both makes him a real powerhouse from the catcher position. And they had Cesar Hernandez at second too, and that was a guy we talked about a little bit in the preseason with the Indians when we did our Indians podcast, how we weren't sure if he was going to fill the void at second. And defensively, he did it. And offensively, it wasn't too bad either. So he had a real good year. And kudos to him, man, because that Indians team ended up being pretty good, and their defense was a big part of it. So congrats to them for winning that. It's cool that they did this. I didn't know they were going to do this year. And then all of a sudden, it was like, oh, the Cubs won the team one. I'm like, what is a team Gold Glove award? But pretty cool, man, and it was interesting to see, no doubt.
So, Mike, I gotta ask you. Let me ask you if you've heard of these names. You admitted you're not a big baseball watcher, don't watch much TV, work a lot. Any idea who Evan White plays for?
No.
How about Isaiah Kiner Falefa?
No.
Would you happen to know his country of origin?
Falefa. Man. Somewhere they speak Spanish?
No. Think Pacific. He's Hawaiian. Yeah, man.
I'm sure somebody speaks Spanish
I can't
in
believe
Hawaii.
you didn't
I'm sure
get
they've got to
that.
speak Spanish in Hawaii. Somebody does. That wasn't wrong.
Let's see here. The rest of these guys, Tyler O'Neill, his first Gold Glove, 9 defensive runs saved. My old boy Luis Robert.
Okay, so now we're gonna stop.
Yes,
because I'm gonna fight you here.
That got me a reaction. That's what I needed.
This is what we got. All right, listen to me. I don't care. That is the dumbest one of all of these. The dumbest one. As a center fielder myself, I could not believe that he won the Gold Glove. Anybody that in the American League that's going to win a Gold Glove that's not in center field that's not named Byron Buxton or Kevin Kiermaier or Mike Trout, I'm not listening to it. There's no way. I put all 3 of those guys ahead of Robert. All 3 of them. That was a crock. I cannot believe that he won that award. Terrible decision. The computer was wrong.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I probably would have given it to Buxton. But the stats say that he was actually better than Kiermaier. But I know that doesn't matter to you because he is from the wrong side of town. But
I don't get it, man. I mean, maybe a top 7 defensive center fielder in the American League. Gold Glover, get out of here. That was
wow.
I was watching these awards shows with all these White Sox love, just shaking my head, man. Couldn't believe it.
Hey, we're going to really get in some White Sox love here in a minute. Oh, yeah. It's going to be awesome. Some returning guys that are, not surprising. Nolan Arenado, 8th Gold Glove. Alex Gordon, 8th Gold Glove. His 4th consecutive, actually. Let's see here. Mookie Betts, no shocker there. I think it's his 5th Gold Glove. We had another newbie at short, J.P. Crawford. Had a big defensive turnaround, really bad the last couple years, kind of turned it around.
Yep.
So it gave, the Mariners have one of the better infield defenses in the game. So anyway, just some interesting things. Griffin Canning, Max Fried both won their first Gold Gloves, both young pitchers, first or second year pitchers. And Trent Grisham, that trade from the Brewers, man, that's a haunting trade right there. Grisham had a good year
for the Padres, man. Wow.
Yeah.
He's a stud and a big part of that young core they got going there in San Diego, man. That team is going to be so much fun moving forward, no doubt.
It is. It is. I'm hearing a lot of talk about Trevor Bauer to San Diego. That would make them extremely interesting for next year. But we'll see. We'll see.
So you forgot to mention my boy. You better get to my boy.
Who is it? Who am I missing?
You're missing the National League first base. Come on now. Don't even fight me.
Anthony Rizzo. Future Yankee. So that's his 4th Gold Glove in 5 years. So he obviously must be pretty decent.
Yeah, he's
Tell us
also
about
one
Anthony
of those
Rizzo. Just go ahead. What is it?
He's one of those platinum ones. He's like 6'4", 250, and can do the splits. And he climbs the brick walls and makes catches. He climbs the tarp. He steals everything, man. He's legit, no doubt. So the 2 guys, David, that won platinum this year, Nolan Arenado, who won his 4th platinum Gold Glove. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him talking yesterday about how the backhand play towards the dugout to turn and throw to first is the hardest play for a third baseman to make, and that's the one he says he struggles with the most. And Alex Gordon getting the platinum Gold Glove as well. What a retirement gift for him. We talked about him last week being known more for his defense and his offense. That's another reason why. Absolute stud out left. And David, if you remember, he started at third base and converted out there. And you don't see infielders convert to the outfield and become Gold Glovers very often, and he's one of them that consistently won them and ended up going platinum too, which is really cool to see. You also failed to mention future Cub at second base for the National League, Colton Wong, who will soon be a Chicago Cub playing second base. And then we'll have Javi, Colton, and Rizzo, who have all won Gold Gloves for 3 of our 4 infielders, with Wilson Contreras, who was a finalist as well. So we'll once again add to the defensive.
Tommy La Stella reunion.
Hey, I'll take that too. I'm not against that one. That's a good one.
I hear you.
We do need a second baseman.
We did forget Joey Gallo as well. 12 defensive runs saved. If the dude could ever quit striking out, you know, he would be like an MVP for sure. So, all right. On that note, let's switch to Silver Sluggers, and I get to talk first. And here's the reason why. This thing is filled with my boy, the White Sox. So, Mike, I don't know if you knew this or not. I always like to mention this whenever the White Sox come up. But DJ is a former White Sox instructor. Did you know that?
No, I can't say I knew that.
It did happen. I have a picture. I'll have to find it here somewhere of DJ in a White Sox uniform. And anyway, I know he's contributed to their great success. It's just awesome that he's been able to do that with his hometown team. I know he loves it. But this year, the Silver Sluggers are full of White Sox. Jose Abreu, who will be the MVP. It's not even going to be close. He's going to be the MVP. He led the league in slugging and had the most hits, DJ. 317, 19 homers, led the league in RBIs with 60. 2.8 WAR. What do you think about it?
Teoscar Hernandez won silver as well, man. He did a great job. That was one of the guys you picked.
That's right. Tim Anderson, shortstop. He hit 322, former batting title winner. He's back again, 10 homers, 21 RBIs. Led the league in runs. Slugged 529, 886 OPS. Now, there's a little bit of controversy here. A little bit, not much. But Xander Bogaerts had a great year as well. But I'd have to go with Anderson. Anderson beat him in most categories. What do you think?
Give me Xander all day, every day. I take Xander over Tim Anderson every single day of the week.
Okay. So let's go out to the outfield. My boy Eloy, 296, 14 homers, 41 RBIs, former Cub. Who did the Cubs get in that trade, DJ? I just got to know.
Jose Quintana.
It didn't work out very good for you, did it? But Eloy, very deserving. To be honest with you, the American League was pretty easy to pick. I mean, some of these guys, DJ LeMahieu, there was nobody even in his
future Cub.
Good second. Yeah, maybe. There was some good second basemen this year, but nobody really in his category. Jose Ramirez, easily the best third baseman. Mike Trout, he'll always be on that list, I'm sure. Teoscar Hernandez was kind of a surprise, but after looking through the other outfielders, there's nobody really close. Nelson Cruz is the best DH. It's not even close. And, man, I had no idea Salvador Perez had as great a year as he did after being out the whole prior year, 333 with 11 homers. Man, what a stud.
Yeah, that batting average is impressive for a catcher especially, man. I couldn't believe that either when I was looking up his stats today. 333 for a catcher. And Nelson Cruz at 420 years old wins the Silver Slugger as well. Be interesting to see where he takes off too as well, being how old he is and if he still got a little bit left in the tank. And DJ LeMahieu, man, like you said, 364 batting average, 421 on base, both led the league. He also led the league with a 1.011 OPS. It's a lot like what Christian Yelich did last year. DJ LeMahieu pulled off the trifecta for that. Unbelievable season for him. I really hope the Cubs go hard after him. I really want a second baseman. Mike Trout is Mike Trout. The American League was stacked, and I kept looking, David. I was like, man, you try to find a couple other outfielders besides Trout that had better seasons, than Teoscar, and you just really can't. So you're right about that as well.
Yep. So, Mike, let's talk about real quickly just a little bit about the Orioles, and we'll come back to the National League here in just a minute. But Chris Davis. Let's talk about Chris Davis here a little bit. We talked about guys. I can't remember the phrase you used earlier when we were talking, but you referenced basically guys that couldn't hit. So Chris Davis, why keep Chris Davis around?
Because it's too embarrassingly expensive to let him go play slow pitch softball, which is I think kind of where he's headed at this point. The thing is, Chris Davis, he's a good dude. Off the field as a person, but he's just someone he's lost his own confidence in himself.
Yeah,
He just has. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think he thinks he can hit anymore.
David,
And that's
Mike, he had 55 plate appearances this year. Mike, how many RBI do you think Chris Davis had in 55 plate appearances? Take a guess. How many RBI?
I would say I could count them on one hand.
Yeah, doggone right you can, because you can count them on one finger.
That's amazing, though. I mean,
how much is that per at bat? Like with his contract, how much is he making per at bat?
Gosh, how much money is he making per RBI?
yeah.
Whatever his salary is this year.
Wow.
115 batting average.
He was right place, right time. His agent got him a contract, and yeah, I mean that's probably one of all-time history worst declines in baseball history. I mean, the thing is though, but the bar set so low. If he had 10 RBIs next year, he'd be comeback player of the year. I mean, think about it. How low is that bar set?
Man, if you were him, wouldn't you be just begging to get cut? Like, at what point are you just like, man, just please release me
out of my misery?
Put me out of my misery, or let me just see somebody different, talk to somebody different, because somebody out there's got to have the secret sauce. He can't have fallen off that fast. There's just something wrong with the Orioles can't fix, right?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's just good pitching will stop good hitting every time. And, and you couple it with the fact that he's the mental midget, just can't hit.
Yeah.
Mike, talk a little bit, and I wore this hat for you tonight, buddy. So talk a little bit about how you became an Orioles fan as a kid. I want to know a couple things as well when you talk about this. Give me your childhood favorite Oriole, your favorite Oriole when we were about the college age, and maybe your favorite Oriole about now.
Well, I guess, as far as an Orioles fan, I guess I was born into that because that's where my dad's from, all his brothers. And we, once a year, when we would go to Maryland, we would go watch Orioles games. I can remember being little and so little that, falling asleep at the baseball game little in Memorial Stadium before Canham Yards was even built. Quick, Chris, we get a 4-hour Chris Davis story. My younger brother, Tim, you remember my brother, Tim?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Orioles were in Tampa playing the Rays one night, and Tim randomly ran into Davis after the game in a restaurant, and he talked to him for quite a while.
Wow.
No one else really reckon, he's out of town ball player standing there. Tim knew who he was. He's got a picture of him. I think my younger brother Ben might have worked in this restaurant, but yeah, just standing there talking to the guy. He was, he's a nice dude, but as for that, I mean. Man, my favorite, as a kid, it's got to be Brady Anderson.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's got to be Brady Anderson. He talked about a guy that blew up during the steroid. He had one, he barely hit the ball out of the infield, and all of a sudden he comes in, he can't, could barely move his arms and hits 50 home runs. Then, he's so thick. But yeah, probably Brady Anderson. I was like 12, 13 years old. I had sideburns like Brady. I had Brady Anderson sideburns.
I was going to bring up those sideburns. I'm glad you brought those up.
Nice.
100% Brady Anderson sideburns, man. Yeah. Actually, I think I cut those off when I went to Temple. I think that's one of the last things I did was cut my Brady Anderson sideburns off. I had them. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Yeah. But, man, yeah, definitely Brady Anderson. Definitely Brady Anderson. And for, several, I liked him before he got big, though. I mean, he was a fun outfielder to watch. He made plays. And when he got so big, he wasn't. Him and Steve Finley. I used to love watching them as a kid. They were fast. They could get the ball. And then Anderson got big, and, then he was fun to watch because he was hitting home runs for no reason whatsoever all of a sudden. But yeah.
And the Orioles were tough back then, too. They had old Albert Bell.
The Orioles there's been different years where there's been different years and stuff where they've been better than others. But there's a team that's, they've traded away some Hall of Fame players to get, they had Kurt Schilling. They had Kurt Schilling, early in his career, got rid of him. Then they would get trades, guys that were just over the hill, like Glenn Davis. You even remember Glenn Davis with the Houston Astros?
Oh, yes.
Baltimore went and got him, and I'm going to move here in a second. But Baltimore went and got him, and all of a sudden, the guy, he never hit it. I don't think he hit a baseball again in his life. Then there was Keith Moreland. They went and got Keith Moreland again to hit.
The Cubs?
Yeah, guy couldn't hit for nothing. That's just, just awesome like that. So, hold on, yeah. But yeah, it's just they have a string of trades like that. They're the worst. So the fact that they had Davis, they signed him to such a huge contract. It's no different than if they if they went out and traded for somebody, signed a huge contract, and then he couldn't hit. Either way, they looked stupid. And but they had what was it, Davis and Trumbo? They signed him to a big contract, and but they didn't sign. You're talking about Nelson Cruz. They had Nelson Cruz for the year that he came back from his suspension. They had him, and the guy had, I think, 50 home runs or something for him, and they didn't want to pay the money for him.
I didn't realize that, actually. Wow.
Yeah, the first year he came back, he would, because he got suspended for PEDs.
Yep. He did.
And, it was one of those things where, he needed to get back in the league. Baltimore signed him. They had a pretty good year that year, too. And then he left and got a big contract somewhere. Smart on him, but yeah.
Wow. Did not realize that. Wow. So do you follow the Orioles at all now?
Not much, but it's just because I'm never in front. This is the longest I've been in front of an electronic device in several months now. I just, don't watch a lot of TV anymore, but so yeah, and I did not get a chance to follow baseball at all this past season. Unfortunately, but.
So David,
kind of trying to make it back, man. They're still a long ways away, but they had some nice players, and Trey Mancini will be back this year, so
yes,
I think that'll help. But they're still a ways away.
They're always going to be.
I kind of feel bad for you, Mike, because the Orioles honestly are one of the teams that you look at and you just go, man, they are so far away from being contenders. It's not even close right now. And so, they had a pretty bad season this year. Renato Nunez at first was one of their studs. Anthony Santander was really good as far as, being their top WAR guy this year with 11 homers and 32 ribbies. Your brother Jamie's big on Ryan Mountcastle, the left fielder. He's a big fan of his. He had a good year this year, 333 batting average, one of the highest on the teams. And so they've got a few guys, just being honest with you, they're so far away. Their pitching is just brutal. Not a single guy in their starting rotation with a winning record. Wade LeBlanc had an 8 ERA. Alex Cobb a 4.30. George Lopez a 6.34. Wojciechowski, or whatever that guy's name, 6.81 ERA. So they are not even close to being contenders. They've got the catcher coming up, the number one prospect in their organization, who's going to be a stud. So that's one thing. Maybe they can get a face of the franchise coming up here pretty soon. But even after another season, tough to be a Baltimore fan right now.
Yeah, but they thought that same thing about Matt Wieters. And he's an okay catcher, but he was supposed to be the next face, face of the organization like Ripken, and hung around a few years with them, and they, dumped him off. He was okay as a catcher, but he wasn't, an elite caliber player by any means. I mean, the last time that they had a good season, it was because all they did was hit home runs.
Yeah.
They were a slow pitch softball team. They're just sitting there hitting home runs, but they had no pitching. So when you have to score, double digit runs a game to win, it makes it difficult. You'll win some games, but it's hard to win championships like that.
Right.
Yep. Adley Rutschman's the guy that they drafted number 1 overall, the catcher. That's going to be the future for them. And sky's the limit, man. He's going to be very good, no doubt. But so how many times have you been to Camden, Mike? Have you been there a lot in your life or no?
I've probably been there maybe 15 times.
Awesome.
15 times. Yeah.
One of my favorites, man. I loved it.
Yeah, I think the last time I went, in batting practice, this actually was my oldest niece's. It was the first basic game she ever went to, and she was little. And I have a picture. I actually caught a home run ball,
Nice.
and I have a picture of her with this baseball. She was little. I mean, she passed for much, just kind of staring at it. Gave it to her, and but yeah, I love going to Canham Yards. It's a great place to watch baseball. There's not a bad seat in that place. I mean, I remember going to Fenway, and at Fenway, there's actually a seat behind a concrete pillar. Like that, if you got that seat, like you would have to sit sideways in your friend's seat to see around it for the game. And but Canham Yards, man, it's just nothing but good seats, and it's a fun place to watch ball.
Nice. Definitely on my bucket list. I haven't been. I don't know why I didn't the time I went to Washington, but definitely on my bucket list. So we'll switch gears here again. We're gonna get back to you, Mike, because we got to talk about your Temple experience and all that. So I'm really looking forward to getting into all that. But DJ, NL Silver Sluggers, Freddie Freeman, Donovan Solano. So that's the one I want to talk about right there. DJ, how does Donovan Solano get in over Robinson Cano?
So I don't have Cano's numbers right in front of me, but I got to admit that Donovan Solano's, do you have them?
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
313, which is less than Solano, 10 homers, more than Solano, 30 RBIs, 896 OPS, 544 slugging, 23 runs. He basically leads Solano in every category except for batting average.
How many hits did Cano have?
I don't have that in front of me. I can pull it up real quick, though.
Well, that's fine. I just was wondering because this is very intriguing, no doubt. When Solano won it, I got to admit, out of all the guys in the National League, that was the one that made me do this a little bit. Not that he didn't have a great year. I get it. But I was just like, man, this guy won the Silver Slugger out of nowhere. Was a nobody. Nobody even heard of him until this year. And the guy took the award. So, did you
Cano
find
had
it?
54.
Donovan had 62. So, it's close, man. I mean, I get it. Cano is the name out of the two, no doubt. That's a tough one, man. That's really close as far as the stats go.
I just don't think it is. I mean, I'm not a Cano homer at all. I'm just being honest about it. I mean, some of these aren't close, and a few of the things are. But the only categories Solano beats him in is batting average and hits. Basically, every single other category, Cano is the better hitter. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a head scratcher.
More runs and more ribbies. The game's all about scoring, so I agree with you on that. That was the one that made me. I didn't even think of Cano today, though. I'll be honest with you. I didn't know he had that good of a year, to be honest with you, which is pretty impressive for him. A little bit of a bounce back from a terrible 19.
Definitely. After that, you got Fernando Tatis. No surprise there. 17 homers, 45 RBIs. Manny Machado after that, 304, 16 homers, 47 RBIs. Mookie Betts, no surprise there, 92, 16 homers. Juan Soto, DJ, I had no idea that Juan Soto had the year that he had. Because remember, he got started a little late because of COVID. 351, 13 homers, 37 RBIs. Wow. I mean, what a stud.
He pulled the Yelich, too, and swept the board on the batting average, on base, slugging, and OPS. He won all four of those. What a season. Like you said, in 44 games, I think he played out of the 60. He totally dominated and came out of nowhere, really. One of the best young players on a Hall of Fame path, no doubt. Unbelievable. He completely swept the board. Awesome season for him. And here's another thing, too, David, is like he's not in the MVP race. I mean, the three guys that are there are tough. No, don't get me wrong, but, man.
Who are the three?
So it was Mookie, Freeman, and Machado.
Mm.
And I mean, look at his numbers. They're better than Mookie's, to be honest with you, in a lot of ways. So it's interesting to see that Mookie got as much love as he did. I think as far as over Soto, that was tough. Even a guy like Marcell Ozuna, who, man, what a season he had too. He led the league in homers and ribbies, and he's not even a finalist for MVP in the National League. So you could make a legit case for about 5 different guys to win the NL MVP on Thursday, which is crazy to think. But I think if 5 different guys won it, I don't think you can make too much of an argument for it. So it had to be hard to come up with those 3 finalists, no doubt.
Absolutely. And then you got Ronald Acuna, 250 homers.
Oh,
I was wondering what you were going to say about this, DJ. So who should have been in that spot?
my boy Ian Happ.
What about Mike Yastrzemski?
That's another guy.
Did a good year.
I think he was the leader in WAR for most of the year, and maybe not ended on top, but he was up there and legit, no doubt. So that's a good point too. Ian Happ was an OPS leader for a long time. Ian Happ was the Cubs MVP. Acuna, man, I don't know. I just kind of shake my head on that one a little bit. I don't think he deserved it. I'm just not really sold on him completely yet. I know he's a great player, but I don't think he deserved it. I think him and Solano were the 2 that kind of made me shake my head a little bit in the National League, no doubt.
Yeah, I would like to see Yastrzemski. Do you have Ian Happ's stats in front of you?
Yeah, so he batted higher than Acuna at 258. He had a 361 on base and a 505 slugging. 12 homers, 28 ribbies, 51 hits. He out-hit Acuna by 11. So they were really close as far as a lot of those categories go. So I'm just going with a homer pick on the 2, with Ian Happ getting a slight edge over Acuna.
Gotcha. I think that pretty well. Oh, Travis d'Arnaud wins his first Silver Slugger. Honestly, deservedly so. I mean, he's kind of had a sneaky season. Not much on defense, but, man, the guy can hit 321, 9 homers, 34 RBIs. A little bit of research I did, there was really no catcher even really close. Maybe Will Smith with the Dodgers was in the ballpark, but can't really argue with it.
No, that was a no-brainer offensively. He still was terrible defensively, leading the league once again in pass balls and getting 24 stolen bases on him. So he cannot catch, but the man can hit. So he should probably be their DH if they don't re-sign Ozuna, probably, to be honest with you. Maybe we should think about DHing him and putting Flowers back there to try to solidify the defense a little bit or go get somebody. But, yeah, very good hitting year, though.
Nice. Mike, you got anything to add to all that?
Nah, not really.
Mike, I do want to add something to you for you, though, boy. So out of this Gold Glove awards that we talked about, the Yankees had 0, the Orioles 0, and the Cubs had 2, and the team award. Just wanted to point that out for you. Silver Sluggers, Orioles 0, Yankees 1, and the Cubs had 7. So they did a good job in silver slugging as well.
Hey, when the White Sox play in your league, it's just going to be hard, to overtake them. You can make it. You can make a real good case for Luke Voit now.
Yeah. Voigt's the guy, man. He was right there, man. I think he's better than Jose Abreu, who had a better season.
Gosh.
So. Yep, should have been Luke Voit, silver slugger.
Let me tell you again. Back to the Gold Glove deal. You can make a case for Gio Urshela at third too. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Yes.
Had a great season, man. A lot of fun to watch. So
he was a finalist at third. He really was.
Yeah.
He had a great year there.
All right, so let's transition here. This is the meat of the show. I'm looking forward to this. Mike, why don't you talk about your baseball career? Start us out in high school, how you ended up at Temple, and you could tell us about that fateful day in February of 1999 when a stud pitcher from the East came down and showed you what was up. So go ahead, tell us about your baseball.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, I was, which you would expect someone to end up at Temple. I was a weird homeschooled kid. So, my baseball growing up was what most considered summer ball. I never played school ball. It was American Legion. It was that type of stuff. And my dad was always our coach. I tell people my dad, who's also a preacher, and I always tell people the very last American Legion baseball game I ever played in, my dad got kicked out of. Arguing with an umpire. I mean, but I all the way up, coming up through school, I pitched, and I would sometimes pitch 2 games in a weekend, one of those types of deals. He never had any pitching, and that's why I had tendonitis severely by the time I was 14. But and coming to Temple, I went to Temple because coming from a strict background, I had to go somewhere, and Temple had a baseball team, so that was like the only choice. And I can remember walking on, and the guy, what was his name? Jim Hall. Skinny Hall. Skinny, yeah. I remember finding him because I was like, yeah, I want to play baseball. And he just kind of looked at me. He's like, all right, well, we're having open tryouts. I'm like, okay, great. But I can remember. I remember the first time I met DJ. Actually, he had on he had a pair of shorts. It was a white mid-calf high sock, and like a $5 10-gallon Cubs hat, and a mustache that would make Tom Selleck jealous. And I remember just thinking to myself, I don't know who this kid is, but man, there's a lot of weird kids at the school, but he's weird, And I can remember that. I can remember just thinking to myself, he's one of the most unathletic looking people I might have ever seen in my life. Man. And he's out here trying out for baseball. It was I remember that. I remember that clearly. And in fact, I'll always associate DJ with a mustache. He has no mustache. I'm actually disappointed. He's not got a mustache.
Glad you brought that up. So DJ, when we showed up at Temple, when I showed up at Temple, you were there, I think, a semester before me, and your nickname was Stash. So when did the stash leave?
So that bad boy only stuck around for my freshman year at Temple. That was the ugliest mustache you will ever see in your entire life. It had a gap right here. It was so bad.
That's what made it great. That's what made it great.
And Mike, you brought up another thing too. I thought you were going to bring this up when you were talking about shorts. So I wore shorts. We were practicing at Engle. One of the first weeks I think we got there. We were playing, and I don't know why I was wearing shorts at practice, which was stupid. But I rounded third and slid into home, and I ripped the entire side of my leg open and was bleeding.
I remember that.
Biggest strawberry ever. I had to wear a paper bag on my leg so it wouldn't get stuck to the sheets for a week. It was so bad, but it taught me never go to practice without baseball pants ever again in my entire life. So Tom Selleck, I like that. I made him jealous with that stash, man.
Hey, I want to see the stash back. Stash has got to come back, man, at least for a little bit.
Nicole would kill me, man. She would probably not touch me, so I don't know if I can do that.
Oh, gosh.
All right, so we interrupted you a little bit there, Mike.
Yeah,
so.
it's all right. But yeah, I mean, really, my freshman year there, I guess for me the most memorable, it was when I hurt my shoulder, and I never really told a whole lot of people because I was like, well, I still want to play ball. I don't want to not play. But it's at the end of, almost towards the end of the year, and we were in Kentucky playing Asbury, and Jeff Busenitz would take forever to get loosened up. So Templeton told me, go down and get loose. You're going to go in and pitch this inning before the last inning. And I remember throwing and so something was really wrong. I knew something was really wrong, and I had no idea where the ball was going. And I come back down from in the bullpen area, and I remember Coach T saying, "You weren't completing a lot of passes down there." And so they sent me out there anyway. And I think I faced 2 batters. I couldn't get the ball down. Like, I remember thinking to myself, I'm trying to spike it. I couldn't get the ball down. And that the next summer, man, I got 4 cortisone shots in my shoulder. I never had it actually MRI'd or nothing because if something was bad, I didn't want to know because, I still wanted to play ball. And I don't know if you guys realize this or not. The only position in college I never played was shortstop. I played every other position in a game at Temple, just except for shortstop. It's the only one I never played.
Wow.
But that was all because I hurt my shoulder. I really couldn't throw much anymore. So my gravity curveball was even worse. Once my shoulder went. But yeah, I mean, and Dave was talking about it in February. I remember it was specifically cold that day because, one of those days where if the ball hit you randomly, it would really, really hurt. And I remember we were playing doubleheader angle, and it was between games. And I had been in the bullpen. I had shin guards on already, and Coach said, "Hey, can you catch real quick this, take a look at this kid, here, maybe to try out." I'm like, "All right, let me get my chest protector." And he's like, "Nah, he's only going to throw 15, 20 pitches. Don't worry about it." Like, okay. My first memory of him was the fact that he had a mastery of a 58-foot fastball. And after the 4th one that bounced off of my, chest protectorless chest, I'm sitting there gasping for air. And this jerk kid from West Virginia is there bouncing fastballs off of me like, it's a game at the fair. And it just, man, that's my first memory, though, Swor. Is like, I was like, this kid comes here, I swear I'm going to get him back. Because, I mean, it was cold, and he was just like, and just, didn't say nothing like, "Oh, hey, man, my bad," or nothing like that. Just, acted like, well, you know what, hey, you're a catcher. I should bounce balls off of your chest for no reason.
Block it up. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Oh, I was blocking it up. Nothing was getting past, and that was the problem. I had no equipment on. I was like, "Good night, kid. This isn't the World Series. Just throw it over the plate."
That's so funny. Yeah. Just to be honest with you, I can't remember who we talked about this. I think it was Howard. But I was I wanted to throw or whatever, but keep in mind, it's snowing in West Virginia. I hadn't picked up a baseball at all. I had no clue.
That's one of the things explained to people. I mean, growing up as a kid, like the first place you would throw would be in the road. The first place the snow would be melted at. Being from New York, you'd go out into the street to throw because everywhere else had snow still on the ground. Yeah. Yeah, because in February up north, I mean, you're not playing. You're not, it's like mid to end of March before you're actually going outside with a glove on your hand. So,
yeah.
But I have a lot of most memorable moments of college. I say my junior year was definitely my best season. Yeah. I ended up playing a boatload of first base my junior year, and which, you guys remember this or not? My junior year, I batted 330 something my junior year.
Yep.
I don't know. It was I had a good year that year, and but I don't know, man. But some of my more memorable moments. I mean, the time that Jamie got his shoelaces caught throwing the ball the first base. We were in Alabama somewhere, and he got his shoelaces caught together, and he's falls down, throwing it, spikes it into the dirt. I don't know if you guys remember that one or not.
Definitely.
That was a good one, man. I remember one time I was running. Of course, if you ran for Howard, you were going to get thrown out, and he was going to complain about it. That's just what it was. If you were courtesy running, you would get thrown out. But man, I went first to third on something, and I would have been a freshman because Skinny was coaching third base. And and we were at angle, and the field was a little bit tacky, and I head first dove into third base. And when I did, I stuck. I could see the bottoms of my shoes come up over top my ears, and I could see my bottom in front of me, and then my legs went back. It's the only time he ever looked at me and asked me if I was okay. you know, and I knew that. I was like, wow. And that really hurt. But I guess, you know, my career at Temple, I just remember I was always getting thrown somewhere. I mean, I think the sophomore year when we beat West Georgia, they were ranked. They were ranked. We beat West. When Foster was a freshman, when we beat West Georgia, I caught that game, but that's because one kid had left school that week, and Howard had separated his shoulder or torn something in his shoulder, and I had done a little catching, but I mean, most of my catching was because I played ice hockey, and I was like, well, we got nobody else, so you're gonna have to catch. And I remember Howard calling the game from the dugout. I kept looking over to get the signs from him, and I put, you know, the signs in, and I can remember, you know, just most of the years I was there, it's what it was, you know, which it was fun, you know, I enjoyed it, and but after my freshman year, man, my shoulder was never the same again, and still ain't the same.
It's all worth it though, right? I mean,
what's that?
It was all worth it though, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it at all.
Hey, give us some funny stories, man. Tell us some stuff that happened.
Well, I mean, I remember. Okay, so this again would have been my freshman year because Coach T was still coaching, and we were on the big bus. We'd actually got to take that when Skinny was around because he had a CDL license. You know, we weren't taking those the 78 and a 79 Dodge vans.
Yes.
You know, the rest of the time. But I remember we were going. We had just pulled out of the parking lot of Temple. We were going down Orchard Knob, and you know, as a freshman, your job is you carry equipment. Well, I remember we were driving down Orchard Knob, and I remember Coach T. He's just sitting there, just, you know, his demeanor is just laid back, calm as can be. He's just sitting there, just looking out the window. He doesn't move. He just says, "There goes our helmets." And he's like, "There's our baseballs." Well, the Skinny had driven off with the bay door still open on the bus, and all of our equipment was falling out going down Orchard Knob. So we had to stop, and we're walking through all those sketchy yards on Orchard Knob trying to pick up baseballs, you know, trying to find our stuff. And golly day, man. And then that was and then again freshman year, Coach T, we're down playing Southern Polytechnic in Atlanta. Coach T called timeout, and he yelled, "Someone go get that helmet off the field." Wait a minute, Morgan's under it. And, you know, walk back in the dugout. I mean, just, game. It was just,
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Shoot. It was always something, man. Yeah, let's see. Would have been my sophomore. You guys have been around. Remember when we went to North Georgia and had to wear their helmets?
Oh, yes.
I do
remember that.
Yeah, because it was whoever the freshmen were at the time didn't get the helmets. We showed up with no batting helmets. And I mean, just yeah, and oh man, the maddest of Brian Howard, he was so mad.
Oh,
he was so mad we having to wear their helmets.
Yeah, that was terrible, no doubt about it. That was
it was kind of a low moment.
Yeah.
Then we got drummed. They came and got us because, like, I don't remember why. We didn't have no – they came and got us. They sent one of their buses after us to come get us. We got down there, had to wear their helmets, got drummed twice, and then they drove us home. It's like we were just a cheap date, man.
Hey, Mike, were you driving that trip when we were going to – I don't remember where we were going. We were going somewhere pretty far away, and it was – pouring the rain. I'm talking buckets. And whoever we were playing with, they were like, "Oh, yeah, come on anyway." And we got all the way down there, and they told us the game was rained out. Were you in on that?
I wasn't driving, but I remember Shelton was livid.
Yes.
When we get down, and I think we were going to Tusculum. I thought. Something like that. We get there, and he just starts getting the van screaming, "Hey, the weather's great here. Not a drop in the sky." Like, he's screaming, you know, and yeah. I do remember that though.
Shelton's long arms and legs are flopping.
Yeah.
He's yelling,
Yeah,
ah,
he was
man.
irate over that. Oh my goodness.
I remember that. That was awesome.
The whole way down, it was like pouring so much we could barely
Yeah.
see out the front
Yeah,
windshield.
we're like, there's no way we're gonna play. Why are we going down here? There's no way we're gonna play. Yeah, we get there and it's just underwater, and they're like, yeah, we're not gonna be able to play. You know.
I just remember how mad Shelton was. And like you said, he was just screaming coming out of that van.
Oh my gosh.
What about the fateful spring break trip of your sophomore year?
Oh yeah, that was there was some memorable moments there.
Oh yes, we talked about it a couple times here. Just
someone, man, just wouldn't have had a. I don't think someone would have had a job after that. If that would have been. No, there's also the same one where couldn't find his keys. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
They were for his keys. They were in the van door, or they were in the trailer door. One of the two. They're still in the lock. And we tore that hotel apart. We tore everything apart. You know, couldn't find his keys. Oh my goodness.
That's awesome. Well, guys, DJ, you got anything else?
I do not. Other than that, as always, the Chicago Cubs are the greatest team in the world, and I look forward to them winning the World Series in 2021, and that's about all I got to say about that. Mike, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been like far too long since we've seen you. I don't know if this is seeing you technically, but at least we're on Zoom. We can actually see you a little bit and get a chance to hang out a little bit. It's been fun.
Yep, it has been.
I appreciate it, guys.
If I ever need a car repoed, you're my guy.
Yeah, give me a call. I get it back. I get them back out of principle. Shoot. I mean, it'd cost me more to make the trip to go get where the car is, where it's even worse. I still go get it, just out of principle. You know, out of spite. That's what it is. Out of spite. How about that?
It's a perfect job for you, man. Honestly, like I can't imagine. I bet you're the bomb at that job. I'm not even kidding.
Yep, I can totally see him doing that.
The key is to get out and just be an aggressive jerk from the very beginning. It kind of puts them on their heels, you know.
Nice. Wow.
Anyway.
Well, DJ, I guess we'll wrap it up. For all 8 of our viewers, tune in again next week. I think next week is trivia night. So that's going to be interesting. I think the loser is going to have to keep the stash, DJ. That's got to come back, man.
I think if the Cubs win the World Series, yeah, he needs to grow back his mustache. He needs to go find the cheapest Cubs hat he could find, because that's clearly what he was wearing that day. And shorts that are a little inappropriately short with that calf-high white sock.
Hey,
for a day.
DJ's socks would have been thigh highs, but a good foot of them was flopping on the end like a Muppet.
Oh, yeah. And then the shorts wouldn't have been so short if he'd have shopped in an adult section, but he was kind of in that tween size at the time, you know. So it's, like, I'm not a husky boys, but, not quite a man size either,
It's low. It's just so low. Y'all can see now what we had to put up with. I just remember showing up. It was so intimidating because you had the mouthy guys from the South, and then there was like no in between. And then you had these New Yorkers, these twin New Yorkers. I couldn't tell them apart. You couldn't trust them. Man, it was rough.
DJ, do you remember Murray?
Who?
Murray.
Mm-hmm. Oh yes! Oh my gosh! Yes.
He held you down. His one lone chest hair he named Murray, and we held him down and shaved it somewhere in Alabama.
I remember that. I do remember that. Yeah.
There was like 15 of you on me, man. It was ridiculous how many of you were on top of me shaving that thing off. And I have so much chest hair now, thanks to you morons, because I only had a few hairs. And now
there
I
was
have
one.
too many.
There was one. That's why he had a name. There was only one there.
Wow.
Wow, I forgot about that, man. Unbelievable.
I did too. I forgot about that too. That's awesome.
Oh gosh. I think that was the same hotel when we were taking soft toss with the tennis balls into the human net.
Boom. Boom.
Yeah. You got hit 3 times. It was your turn to swing. Oh man.
Well, guys, I guess we better wrap it up. Like I said, it was good to see you guys once again, and tune in next week. And we appreciate all you guys out there.
See you, everybody.